So the Buddha famously claimed that life is suffering, or to be more precise, the word he used is Dukkha, which means, well, unsatisfactoriness. I heard that one explanation of the term is that it makes a wheel where the axis is broken, or it's, how do you say, out of center. So the wheel is turning, but it's not turning exactly right. So if you're sitting on a car and it's always making this hubble, so it could be more perfect, but it isn't. And the Buddha first names 4 examples of this dukkha, unsatisfactory. First is birth into this world. And a lot of people might, well, be wondering, why should a birth into this world be something we shouldn't be satisfied about? And maybe some people are so happy about their lives that they don't feel that it might be something unsatisfactory. But a lot of people, and that's also true for myself, you ask yourself, why? Why did my parents have this stupid idea to have me? If I hadn't been born into this world, I didn't choose it. If I hadn't been born, so much less suffering. So for the Buddha, it starts there. You never chose to be born into this world, and you didn't choose to be born as this person, you didn't choose to be born in this century, you didn't choose to be born into the family you were born. That's where unsatisfactoriness, dukkha, unsatisfactoriness starts. You could have been born as a better person, more intelligent, more handsome, in a more wealthy family, whatever. Or you could have been born never at all, and for some of us that sounds like the best option, whatever. Next point is getting older. Most of us would rather stay young, but you get older, and then number 3, you get sick, and number 4, you die. Even those of us who rather prefer never to have been born, when it comes to dying, would say, wait a minute, wait a minute, I don't want to die. So those are the 4 basic forms. You didn't choose to be born, you don't want to get older, you don't want to get sick, you don't want to you don't want to die, but all of these will come. Or maybe you die before you ever get sick, but usually we get sick. And then there are 4 other quite easy to understand forms of dukkha. One is you're never with the persons that you want to be around. For example, romantic love would be one example. You never can get the one that you would want to have. Your love interest. Other boys or other girls always get the better partners. You always feel that you are less popular. And the one that you get is never the one that you really wanted. And today we have Tinder, we have all these opportunities to get the perfect choice. So sometimes you get exactly the person that you wanted. You chose that one and you get it. And the funny thing is, even then dukkha works. You thought you got the one that you wanted, and 2 weeks later, 2 months later, maybe 2 years later, you realize it wasn't the one after all. So that's a very easy to understand form of dukkha. You never get the one that you want, and the one that you get, the moment you get it, you realize it's not the one that I wanted. And then that's number 7 and 8. That also goes for all the other things. You never get exactly what you wanted from life. Today you could order everything you want from Amazon, and maybe you are, how do you say, excited for a day or 2 until the parcel arrives, and then you open it. No, it doesn't make me happy. You get exactly what you ordered, and still there's this realization, no, that's not what I wanted after all. And number 8 would be, well, exactly this. So you never get what you want, and what you want is never what you wanted. That's dukkha. That's dukkha. It's basically, I think, what the Rolling Stones sang about when they said, well, I can't get satisfaction. Although in the 21st century we can get basically everything compared to the time of the Buddha. Probably each one of us has a, how do you say, more luxurious life than the Buddha had as a prince. We have smartphones. In Japan we have toilets that automatically clean our behinds if you just press a button. You press a button and a machine cooks rice for you. You have a cleaning robot that cleans the house for you. We have everything and still we are not satisfied. That's dukkha. How can you get released from that? How can you get liberated from dukkha? The short answer is to just accept, well, that's the way it is. I'm not satisfied 100%. I never get exactly what I wanted. So what? So what? Is there a problem? No, there's no problem with that. It only becomes a problem if you make it into one. If you think, but I'm supposed to get this, I'm supposed to be happy. But as soon as you let go of this idea, I'm supposed to be happy, you realize there's nothing missing. That not only goes for happiness, but also for terms like enlightenment or nirvana. At the beginning of the Buddhist path, you think, I have also Buddha nature, supposedly. So after 3, 5, 10 years, I should be enlightened. But as long as you practice with that attitude, you never get enlightened. You never get to nirvana. Because you have this idea, now I'm samsara, but samsara sucks. There must be a way out of here. And for me, nirvana means the realization, actually samsara is not so bad. Nothing is missing here. The only thing that's kind of in the way, the only thing that's making me suffer is this idea, but I have a right to be in nirvana. My life should be easier than that. Soon as you let go of this idea, there's no problem. There's no problem. So that's what for me is liberation from dukkha. To just accept dukkha and realize it's not so bad. It's not so bad. And interestingly, I mean, people think that after Buddha got enlightened at 36, so he attained nirvana at that point of time, people imagine that he didn't have any suffering anymore. But when you read the sutras, you hear the Buddha complain about pain in his back, or he died from, how do you say, food poisoning. He had pain at that time. He was suffering from diarrhea at the end of his life. Interestingly, even after his enlightenment, he also, from time to time, he had conversations with Mara. One English translation would be the devil. And for me, that's kind of, the devil is something inside of the Buddha. It's not something outside. So having a conversation with the devil means that the Buddha still had doubts, or at least that's how I see the Buddha. That's not maybe the traditional point of view, but when the Buddha had a conversation with the devil, he was dealing with his own doubts. That means that even the Buddha was still facing dukkha after enlightenment. But that, for me, there's no contradiction there. To accept that as that's the normal state. There's still this black or dark part in myself. There's suffering in my life, but I accept it. I talk with the Mara. I talk with this dark side in myself. I accept it. I face it. So that for me is liberation from suffering.